My name is Raymond Karchevsky, and I am a living Christ. Today I want to talk to you about the problem that we face living in civilized society. For one thing, it's satanically inspired. Each of you, have been lied to all of your lives by the governments, the religions, the banking industry, those people whom you put your trust in, like children, blind trust to take care of them, to give them security. And children have to grow up sooner or later, but they don't. Not if you're civilized. You're just a frightened child, living based on the mind control which has created your ego, your conglomeration of ideas that you adhere to in order to get you through life. A dualistic life, a satanically ruled life, one that causes you to lie, to live in a state of dualism where you protect yourself from the truth. And you never come to the truth because you don't understand what that is. You have been fed the lies. You believe in those lies, both governmental and religious. And that describes why you are the way you are, why you're constantly suspicious of anyone who comes to you with simple truth. And you can't believe that. You're not capable of believing that because you believe in the lies. What is a lie? A lie is a contradiction in essence. In other words, that is sin. It has been said that the wages of sin is death. And that's what you're living in. You're living in sin. That's why there's birth and there's death. You see, it's an illusion. You're actually eternal beings. What does that mean? Is that some kooky idea? It's the truth. You are the God of your own world because you create your world. You create the quality of your world. And you must stand responsible for what you do. You see. But you don't. You can't get through 24 hours without lying. None of you. Maybe there's an exception there somewhere, but frankly, I haven't run across it. Not in my family. Not in my close friends, who are very few, because they can't take the honesty of this living Christ. They can't face the world that they live in. And the first opportunity when they are accosted by the regulators of this world, the authority symbols of this world, how do they resolve that? They resort to lies, to fantasy. Give them what they want to hear. Not stand up, alone if necessary, an entire world. I have been doing that for 23 years. And I invite you to my websites and watch my videos and understand what that kind of behavior, holistic behavior, invites. I have brought the wrath of Satan upon me for 23 years, and I've stood him down. Now, Satan, I refer to in a masculine sense, as a fallen angel, That's just a fantasy word for you. But it's true because you believe in it. It infects your intellect, your believing intellect, which is full of fantasy. Most of your religions are that, fantasies. They're symbolic endeavors of legends and myths that you believe in. They're not truth. Truth is what is here and now. I am truth. I am a simple man of truth. I am a Christ. And that rubs you like nothing else because you're all Satanists. And a Satanist is one who lives in a dualistic world of ideas, fantasies, beliefs, and they worship. You see, all those are graven images. Graven images. What does that mean? Dead. Dead concepts. And you worship graven images. That is your God. Government is your God. Religion is your God. Banking, money is your God. You don't need any of that. You don't. But you cave in because you believe and you live in fear. You will do anything to assuage the fear that you live in, including selling your souls, your eternal souls. Now, our society, our world, our system of living together is satanic because it's dualistic, it's divisive and opposing. It is the reason for all the wars and all the crime and all the infliction of damage to others through exploitation, through the divisions of status, of monetary status, of political status, of religious status, of racial status. They're all divisive concepts. They're ideas. They're fantasies. You, every one of you, man and woman, are living beings. And you've sold your souls in order to support a conflicted satanic ego, which is enslaved to the satanic systems of government and religion and banking. That's your world. That's your life. As you well know, I'm not like that. And that's what offends you the most about this living Christ. He sparks controversy whenever he opens his mouth. Without intention of hurting anyone, of harming anyone, because he follows God's law, which is do no harm and tell no lies. Now, is that some kind of a theory? Not on your life. That is your salvation. If you live doing no harm, not having the intention to do no harm, but doing no harm, just speaking the truth, and let the devil take the hindmost, and telling no lies, you have met a Christ. Not some legend or satanic concoction of what a Christ should be, with storybooks and tales that start children at preschool age on their way to being blind believers, providing for a government of the blind leading the blind. And all you have to go on is your belief. Belief doesn't cut it in the world of truth. The wars are truth. The deceptions are truth. The exploitation, the victimization of the poor by the rich. That's truth, you see. It's hell, and you're living in it, and you're supporting it. Now, what's the solution? Stop. Stop it all. Do not bear witness against your neighbor. Do not support government that divides you and lives off your energy by keeping you in fear and pointing that fear toward an enemy who's not your enemy, but he is what the finger is pointing at by your government officials who benefit through war, who bankers who benefit through war. And they use religion in order to salve your souls, which can't be. You cannot salve that kind of treachery, that kind of harm, wholesale harm. The solution to that, of course, is boycott, not resistance, because if you resist government, you're still in your dualistic intellect, and that is the mind of hell, of Satan. You must stop that intellect which affects you negatively and enter into the realm of the subconscious mind, the mind of silence. You do that through meditation. You transcend your noisy, chattery, pathetic intellect, and you enter into the non-dualistic subconscious mind, which is the mind of oneness, the mind of love, the mind of God, the mind of cooperation. You see, there's no one to fight with or to argue with or to go to war with in the subconscious mind. There's just what is. But that's where the reality of truth is played out, in the arena of oneness, tainted by the dualistic intentions of all of its blind believers. I'm here to bring about the second coming of Christ consciousness, and it can only come from a living Christ, and I am that Christ. I invite you all to look at my history on the internet and how I have survived in the past 23 years against all of the attacks, the satanic attacks launched against this Christ, trying to discredit him, where the forces of Satan, who have the power to rule, the fictional mechanisms which control you, such as the internet, they censor my work. They try to ignore me, to declare me to be dead, and on a public arena, not even acknowledge that I exist. I have been trying to get a 23-year investigation. Well, that's not quite true. It's 20-year. I started writing 23, going on 24 years now. And I have faced Satan head on and never backed down. There has not been one example where one other person has had superiority over this living Christ in the realm of trying to discredit him. I'm still here. They no longer exist. Or they flip from mask to mask. They won't identify themselves. They won't take responsibility for their libels. You see, not only to me, but to my family. They've done everything they can to stop this Christ from speaking to you. They've tried to put me in prison for 40 years. 40 years! I went to 2 trials. And I was the juristic person, the defendant, who is created by government as a fiction, as a person, was convicted in both trials for a 40-year threatened sentence. This living man, this Christ, would not accept, stood up and would not accept their sentence. Where have you heard that happening? 40 years. 40 years. Who has done that in your recollection in this lifetime? I would venture to say no one but this living Christ. Doesn't that tell you something? And yet, no one pays attention to the truth. That is the greatest weapon Satan has, is self-doubt. You have all been made to doubt yourselves because you are just as much a Christ, a living, breathing, flesh and blood man or woman of truth, if you choose truth to be your God. But who is your God? Satan is your God. Government is your God. Religion, banking, corporations, they're all your God. What chance do you have for a loving, free, sovereign life? Look at that. And decide what you want to be, what you want your children to be. It's entirely up to you. You will not find it in group thought. You must act alone, singularly, and take responsibility because you are the God of your life.